Alright, this will be the last of my video series of my experience in the military. So we left off at I was leaving Fort Campbell. I ended up at Fort Bragg, which I regretted not really re-enlisting to stay at Fort Campbell. I think I would have finished out my time and retired had I stayed there. But it is what it is. God had other plans. Well, God. I'm not gonna say God made it happen, but kind of taught me a lesson. But yeah, when I got to Fort Bragg, that was when I started. My injury started catching up to me, and I was getting older. I think I just turned 30 at the time when I got there, and we were just getting all kinds of um, getting all kinds of being a sick call probably about once every 2 months to try to get someone to look at my knee, and that didn't work. Before I got out, I was trying to see if I could get a sleep study, and they said I was trying to buck the system or whatever, even though last year I did a sleep study and it turns out I have sleep apnea. And yeah, but yeah, there was a whole bunch of was very uneventful for the most part at Fort Bragg. I didn't really deal with too much. I mean, other than the personal problems I had when I was there, which I'm not going to get into, but there was, I mean, as far as like being there and stuff, I mean, they treated me good. They were all good to me. I mean, they were pretty hardcore, but actually wasn't as hardcore as 101st was, but 82nd was pretty tough. But I mean, I wasn't really a part of 82nd though. But I wasn't. I was in a fires brigade that was more or less. It was like they used to call them the bastard children of the 82nd, because the they they didn't have the because they didn't have the same 82nd patch, but they were still considered 82nd. But eventually, they did get the 82nd patch, so we still had to wear the maroon berets like everybody else did, and that was the extent of it. When but I stayed in until my contract was up, and because I couldn't get the weight off, I've always something I'd struggled with for decades. But because I couldn't get the weight off, I um, I ended up getting discharged. So I ended up, but I was able to make the weight right before I got out and get into the reserves, which I'm not really going to talk too much. But if you want me to talk about it, leave a comment and I'll do it. But there wasn't not really much to talk about as far as the reserve side goes. The only thing I'll say about the reserves is it's actually harder to be in the reserve than it is to be on active duty, because in the reserve you still have to keep up with your PT. You have to adhere to the same physical standards as active duty, but you don't have anybody jumping down your throat during PT in the morning to do that. So you got to do PT on your own. For one, you have to do your civilian job, and you still have to show up one weekend a month and 2 weeks a year for the annual training. But other than that, I think my being in the military was really, I think my I mean, I'm going to do a little bit more of an in-depth video eventually about what it was like in Iraq. I mean, it was uneventful, but I'm going to do a little bit more digging about that. But I mean, 82nd to me was uneventful as far as the military side was concerned. I mean, there was a few field exercises. I tried to go to Afghanistan, but I tried to volunteer for Afghanistan, but they ended up not sending me because they didn't need they didn't need cooks there. But I'm gonna tell you something about it. Being a cook ain't easy. I'm eventually gonna talk about that a little bit more in depth. But yeah. But anyways, I want to thank you for if you stuck with through me through all this. I appreciate you putting up with it. If you're new here, please, thank you. Please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button if you want me to, and let me know if you have any questions or whatever, and I'll be glad to answer them maybe in a future video or within the comments section. I don't have a whole lot of followers, so you don't have to worry about waiting too long. Only when I log into this account, because I don't use this account that much only to upload videos. I mean, I'm usually on other accounts, but anyways, I appreciate you putting up with my stories, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.